Take that, creationists.
That's right.
Yeah, fuck you, creationists.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, here we are. So did anybody watch the debate?
Not the whole thing, no. But it was fairly interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty much Sal's usual spiel. Spiel? I think it's a spiel. Spiel.
I think you should be nice to Sal.
Why?
Because I'm joking.
Oh. Not very nice to me.
Signals, Midnight.
What?
I don't know what you want me to do.
Wait, what was that?
Signals. What you just said, that confuses me.
Yeah, sorry.
Been asked to Sal, I'm joking.
Okay.
He was barely hanging on to his smile when James said that we had an after show where I would do a autopsy on Sal.
No,
You should invite him on here.
Well, I can't because he's blocked me on every email. So I don't know if he blocked both my emails.
That's stupid.
I couldn't even give him a condolence thing for when his mom passed away because he blocked me. So I don't know. Yeah, the guy has really got a problem with me, and it's interesting because he uses this import signal for the topoisomerase, and I have kicked his ass on that, and he doesn't even know it. He uses the same thing over and over again. He keeps saying it's that there's no way that this long code, this he calls it a passcode or a password, could have been created. And I pointed out to him, it's not a password. You don't have to have every single letter. In fact, I can show it here.
Did somebody use the word password as an analogy and he took it literally?
I think so. I'm not sure. I can show it here.
I can't believe a creationist, especially a creationist with science degrees, would keep making that mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's got it here. Let me see if I can pop this, make this bigger. Okay, so he shows a sequence right here, and maybe I can make it even bigger yet. But he shows this, this nuclear import signal, right? Now, if you look at that nuclear import signal, there's something that he doesn't point out, and that's that up here, there's another nuclear import signal right here, So there's actually two in the topoisomerase. And I think there might even be another. But anyway, all you need is a few of these characters in order to get a nuclear import signal. The real problem with the nucleus is keeping shit out of it. And if it has less than 360 amino acids, it will get in anyway. It just filters in. And ions filter in through those nuclear pores and all that. But the thing is, it's called a consensus sequence. And it means there has to be a K, typically a proline, I think, and then another lysine, which is K, or let's see, I think an arginine. But basically, it has to be somewhere on the outside of the protein so that the important grabs it. And the thing is, they found those in prokaryotes, which don't have a nucleus. They found a number of those import signals and export signals. And so if you want to look into how the eukaryotic cell evolved, what you have to do is type in, how did the eukaryotic cell evolve? And you'll end up with about 1,000 papers, I think, on it. And there's just all kinds of information. But the point is, now he's saying up above, and he points out that the bacteria and the human have a very different passcode, as he would put it, right? because a lot of this stuff is not conserved, but a little bit of it is. So you can see that it evolved from something in prokaryotes, but for topoisomerase.
Mm-hmm.
But prokaryotes didn't have a nucleus, so why is the passcode there? And he points this out, and I don't quite know why he doesn't get it. That you only need I think a K, KK, and X, and another K, and then something else. I don't know. I knew more about it 3 weeks ago than I know now. But anyway, it isn't that difficult to signal, and it happens almost randomly by chance in a lot of proteins, and they get imported into the nucleus. So anyway, so I don't know why you keep
signal says, "Hey, bring that sequence into me." If you're talking about DNA strand or DNA.
Yeah, he shows a video. He shows a video back here where.
Yeah.
Let's see, where is it? Nope, right here, right there.
You mean a video in lieu of a actual argument in a debate?
Yeah, this I think this orange thing is an important, and basically it has to attach to the protein, and it attaches on that nuclear import signal. So
okay,
if it has a sequence that resembles what it needs, it will attach to it in varying degrees. There are some signals that are better and tighter than others, and more of it will get imported into the nucleus. But that's
instead of being a deterministic process, it's more like a stochastic process that determines what get attached.
But it does have to have that signal. So let's see here. But and then the other thing is let's see, where does he do it? He actually displays the consensus sequence here. I'm trying to figure out where it is exactly. Gotta figure out where he did. Oh, I know where he does it. I gotta hit my. Hang on a second here. Let me get rid of this goddamn default mode. Let's see here. Chat disabled. Okay, I don't want chat, so I think it's right here. Yeah. So the interesting thing, and I unshared my screen. I shouldn't have unshared this yet. Is he points it out in one of his videos. Oh no, sorry, that's the wrong one. This is the wiki article on that, and that was not what I wanted to share. Cool tab, debate pre-show. I think this is it. Yeah, it's right there. There's a proline, there's a lysine, arginine, and a lysine, and then a valine somewhere after. So, I mean, those things have to be there, but they don't necessarily have to be there in that exact order. There just has to be like a lysine. And if you go look at the wiki, I will stop that screen, share another screen, try to share the wiki article. Share. Okay, I don't know if you can see this well enough. Let me make it bigger.
Yeah, you might want to.
Yeah,
okay.
That
looks good.
Okay, so they show you various sequences, right? And these things in brackets basically could be any one of those. So you have a K. Okay, you have a lysine, you have an arginine next to each other, which is really common in a lot of proteins. And then you have one of these things. It doesn't matter which one. Any one of these, basically, I forget what is alanine. I'm not sure. And then you have maybe a KKK afterwards, but that's one of them. But then there are some other consensus sequence, K or a purine, anything. X is okay. R means any kind of or no, what is R? I forget what R. No, it's arginine. So you have a lysine, or an arginine, either one. So that means either or. And then you can have any amino acid. Then you have another lysine or an arginine, either or. And these are consensus sequences. So you can imagine how many with that loose a code, you can imagine how many of those are imported. So, and then they go ahead and they show you some actual sequences that are used on the proteins. And they pretty much all follow that pattern. So, I mean, the thing is that if you look a little bit, you'll realize that it is not that difficult for a protein to just randomly end up with these nuclear import signals. And if it's something that shouldn't be in the nucleus, then the thing is going to die. And of course, that won't get into the future population. So,
and by should or shouldn't, you just mean it's not chemically compatible and it would cause the cell to die or the organism to die.
If it was something that went into the nucleus and started, tearing shit apart or something like that, something that dissolved everything, you'd have a problem in the organism.
Yeah, your body dissolves itself from the inside out. That could be detrimental.
So, I mean, if you take each individual problem that the creationists mention that is supposed to be absolutely impossible to evolve, and you go out and do a little bit of research, you find out, wait a minute, it's not as rigidly defined as they say, number one. Number two, there are, like topoisomerase. I found an article about the many, many things that topoisomerase does, besides what, that function of modifying the DNA for, I believe, replication. I'm not even sure of that at this stage on a Saturday night.
Yeah,
it is Saturday, isn't it?
It is Saturday.
Oh man, how did I get to be Saturday? Anyway, so the point is that any one thing that you look into, and when they come to a full stop because it seems so complex and so carefully interwoven, and they don't look any further. And when you look further, every time you will find homologs in other proteins, in other functions, and every one of their little points falls apart,
So do you think it just feels like they're motivated to stop and not look any further, or?
Yeah, and that's what they want us to do in science. They want us to stop. Look, they want us to look at the glorious complexity that we have now. They don't want to talk about historical science, as they call it, at all. They don't want to look into the possibility of how this thing happened in little pieces. Mm-hmm. And then the
fact that there's a lot of scientists that have done a lot of work that they're not looking at.
Yeah, and I noticed in one of the James Tour chats, I think on LPP's channel, they were going on about how much money have they spent on abiogenesis. And the answer to that is not a hell of a lot.
not as much as on weapons programs or even
pharmaceuticals. And yeah.
Although NASA is actually funding some abiogenesis research.
Because they're interested in the question about life on other
astrobiology.
Yeah,
which is great. I love that. I had a question that seemed important to this, but now I can't think of it. So, old man moment.
Must have been important.
Well, if it had been important, I wouldn't have forgot it.
Was it about important?
No, it wasn't about important. Although it seems more like, rather than a string of chemicals, it's more like a regular expression for a string of chemicals.
Yeah, that's what it is, and
it also reminds me of when Maddie from Science Side Up, y'all should really look up her channel. It's really good. Was talking about the zircon crystals. Zircon's made up. I guess the crystals, the lattice structure is made up of zircon, but occasionally part of that crystal structure, the zircon will be replaced by uranium. Is that the one that they it replaces with uranium, and then that uranium will?
I think so.
Is that how it works? I know they use
for some reason I thought it was backwards, but no, I think that's right.
Yeah. So and that just blew my mind. But then I realized, well, the outer shells of different atoms are available and can bond even in a crystal structure, with an element not their own. So you can actually have zircon crystals that aren't 100%, zircon.
Oh yeah, because atoms don't care. Electrons are electrons.
Yeah. As long as there's a fit, or at least a good enough fit.
Yeah.
And that's how biology works. I'm sorry. As well as geology.
Geology. Can I ask you guys a random question?
Sure.
Random?
Yeah.
Random.
Random. Go for it.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Does anyone here like shark research and biology and stuff like that?
Shark research?
I don't actually, like intentionally look, read the latest articles and stuff on sharks. But if I see a headline that grabs my eye, I'm definitely interested in looking at the shark they found or this amazing shark. Like I know I was watching a SciShow thing about deep sea animals that they've discovered since 2009, I believe, and one of them was some sort of lantern shark that was pretty much just plain black, and they called it the ninja lantern shark. So it's about the size of a kitty cat, and it's got these rows of teeth, and were it to live closer to the light, it would have this kind of green luminescent maybe green sparkly kind of skin, but since it lives deeper in the water, it's basically ninja black.
Yeah,
and I find that to be fascinating.
Yeah, I just ask about sharks because, besides the fact that sharks are awesome, but I've also been. Have any of you guys heard the claim before that because they're supposedly these living fossils, therefore evolution is false?
Oh yeah,
I've heard the claim made, but there's so many different kinds of sharks.
even raccoons are considered a living fossil, so because they haven't changed that much, but they have changed. It's just not very much.
Right.
I guess
I was just thinking. Yeah, I guess recently I was just thinking about how this idea that certain body plans, like they're not necessarily living fossils or stuff like that, because that is a loaded term, but like just this idea that for some environments there are optimal body shapes, if that makes sense, and so like sharks, for instance, in the water. So like maybe just thinking about how, I don't know, the reason they've survived all this time because their general body shape, while it can be modified, is pretty good at what they do, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making sense here.
Well, of course, it's streamlines for moving in the water and being able to maneuver. They've got teeth that grow back, which is really handy if you're a predator. And they've got teeth that are serrated, most of them, maybe. Sometimes they have two sets of teeth, one which will tear and one which will grab and hold on to the prey. So yeah, they've got a lot of features that are successful in an underwater environment.
Yeah, and how much does the ocean change over time, really? As far as getting rid of certain niches, how many of them actually go away? So that's one thing about the living fossil thing. The other thing, like the coelacanth, is not one species. It's a big group.
Right.
They are very different, or there's a lot of differences between the fossils and the current modern ones,
right,
but not a lot. They have the general form. And the other thing is that they found out that with very large genomes, anything that has a large genome will change very, very slowly over time. So things that are really, really huge, like lots of chromosome copies, they won't change as rapidly. And then if they end up in a bottleneck or in a situation where they're threatened, there will be a few of them that might shed off, I think, some of the chromosomes, like plants do this, I believe. And then all of a sudden you end up with a smaller genome that's more rapidly mutating and changing. So, it's all like, if you imagine, I always think of a lava lamp when I'm thinking about evolution, about how things, bump will break off and, branch off. And there's just all this dynamicism. And anyway, that's the reason for living fossils. The quote unquote living fossil phrase should be tossed in the garbage because it really misrepresents everything. So
another example, like just adding on to something you said, Speed, was Another example would be crocodilians, for instance, which if you go back in time in the fossil record to Triassic period, you have crocodilians, that basically were running around on the land. And then you go into the Jurassic and creatures like Dicosaurus, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, swimming in the ocean. And it's only now that you have these semi-aquatic super predators in Africa and Asia, and that's what we call a crocodile. So by calling it a living fossil, you're basically kind of have a narrow mind. Anyways, I didn't mean to divert the topic. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, that's very. I don't know what the topic is. I guess the debate. Okay, Paley's watch. You know, I can't believe he used Paley's watch.
He used Paley's watch
to open with. So, Paley's watch is like it has gears that are highly machined. And we know how humans do that. I think Paley did, right? So going to, like when you think, okay, a designer designed it, you have to have in mind a designer that could design such a thing and could create it, right? And we humans know that there are watchmakers and that there are machine weight makers and factory makers. But the creationists have another creator in mind, which they have imagined in their mythical book, that can do anything, can create anything, even tiny little cells and little proteins and stuff. But the thing is, and they push back, it couldn't have happened by random chance or whatever they put. And the thing is that proteins, and there's a limited number of biomolecules that basically go into creating machines, and proteins are one of them. So amino acids, there's 20 of them online, and there are four different kinds. So there's, I think there's 10 nonpolar, 10 nonpolar, 4 polar, or 5 polar, and there are 5 that have charges, right? 3 are acidic, and 2 are acidic and 3 are basic. So you have like a limited Lego block, setup, right? And they're recombining and forming different, and they form shapes. And the thing is that very small increments can create a very, very tiny fine-tuned machine that locks in with another machine. And if you look at proteomics and how proteins fold, what they see is this amazing complexity, and they see this like lock and key fit. But you can get a lock and key fit by having a kind of a rough fit that works, and then very slowly over time modifying it until it's a perfect lock and key. Right. So the better it is, the more efficient it's going to be, and that is going to be selected for. And that's what they don't see. They don't see that it isn't like, you don't see a machine that is built that way by human beings. We don't take a bunch of blocks and shake them up, right, until something works, and then shake them a little bit more and make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of incremental changes in that machine until we get the perfect machine. Rather, we we have an idea and we design it outright, working, locking the way it's supposed to, right? And that isn't how life happened. So when they imagine it, they either imagine that life has to all of a sudden splat into existence, fully formed by random natural processes, which of course nobody believes, or basically it has to be, custom designed and locked together by the creator, that sort of thing. Those are their two options in their brain. Mm-hmm. The option that they miss is this incremental option that things started out with very, very small biomolecules, very, very small and varied, and even not homochiral, right? Different kinds of molecules fitting together. And it proceeded from there, and that is evolution. So they will pick a spot. They'll pick a spot and they'll tell you some crazy thing like topoisomerase, But as soon as you start talking to them, they'll go back to abiogenesis and ask you, oh, how did that thing form, whole all of a sudden? And of course, their answer is God did it. So, I mean, they're not thinking about it. You're back from where?
Yeah, hold on a sec.
Good that you're back.
I was just gonna say, like, even for stages that aren't as incremental, we have things like co-option and gene duplication that kind of add things from I won't say non-pre-existing structures, because you have to have something to work from, but like it's a bit more than incremental. So we have kind of a mixture of both, so that doesn't help their case either.
Okay, I found. Sorry to interrupt you, Andrew. I found an interesting article. Biologists construct a quote unquote periodic table for cell nuclei and discover something strange, baffling, and unexpected.
Oh no!
You got link?
Yeah. Let me put. I posted it in the YouTube chat, but I posted it in the private chat because no one pays attention to chat. There it is.
There it is. You found this while you were in the shower?
I found this after coming out of the shower and looking on my phone.
I usually dry off and blow my hair dry. So
okay, let me rephrase. I found this after I got out of the shower and dried off. Is that better, Scott?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Just wondering. I just wondering how you keep those computers from shorting out on you with dripping water on them.
I mean. My Kindle Fire has been beaten up, and sometimes it gets, sometimes it doesn't work because water gets in it. So it's like, like please shake. Yeah, I manage.
Ooh, Baylor College of Medicine. That's just down the road.
Yep.
I'm perusing the paper or the article. It's an article, not a paper.
I do like the drawings they have. They are tasteful.
They have the target read. Let's see.
Go. Work of.
They do link to the paper, right? They do link to the paper at the very bottom.
Science, Volume 372, 28 May of 2021. View full text. Is it going to make me log in? I have to log in. Oh well. We do have an abstract.
Log it in.
You might want to share that. Some species, chromosomes.
I don't want to share my science with you. God.
Well, why aren't you screen sharing, Speed?
I'm not.
No, why aren't you?
I don't wanna. You gonna make me? You can't make me. Can't make me.
Yes,
There's
I can.
a link to the science article, but it's not the full one, obviously. Whoa! It says PDF. Oh, I have to log in. Dang it!
Wait, hold on. But Scott, why don't you go to a certain site?
I could.
Yeah, it'd be better if you go to a certain site.
The guy's name is Dudchenko. I like that. Dudchenko. Dudchenko.
The dude abides.
He was also co-director of the DNA Zoo. I don't know what the hell that is. And then others. Okay, let me see. I'm just trying to figure out what the article. The reason I don't want to share is because I'm already down the page, and if I share, I have to go back to the top, right? So other people can share,
Huh.
I don't have to be the only one doing all the sharing work around here. You know how confused I get.
It was supported by the National Science Foundation, but I can't get to a place where I can get the full text.
Let me see if I can find it.
Ooh, tardigrades, fruit flies.
So there's the DOI.
Must be a creation.
An article.
What's it about?
Something that Midnight could share if he were.
All right, fine. I will share.
On sharing.
I will share because I love sharing and giving people gifts.
The gift of knowledge.
Yes.
Oh. Mama Sharon.
I'm sharing.
Are you?
Yes. All right. So, am I reading this?
Ooh, how new is this article?
Literally this
29.
month. May 29th. So
Ooh,
today.
And the science article came out the day before. So
Am I reading? Speed.
Yeah.
Am I reading?
Yeah, you can if you want. Yeah.
Okay. 150 years ago, Dmitry Mendeleev created the periodic table, a system for classifying atoms based on the properties of their nuclei. This week, a team of biologists studying the tree of life has unveiled a new classification system for cell nuclei and discovered a method for transmuting one type of cell nucleus into another. Ooh, that was interesting. The study, which appears this week in the journal Science, emerged from several once separated efforts. One centered on the DNA Zoo, an international consortium spanning dozens of institutions, including Baylor College of Medicine, the National Science Foundation, supported Center for Theoretical Biological Physics, CTBTP, at Rice University, the University of Western Australia, and SeaWorld. Scientists on the DNA Zoo team had been working together to classify how chromosomes, which can be several meters long, fold up to fit inside the nuclei of different species from across the tree of life. Whether we were looking at worms or orchids, sea squirts or coral, we kept seeing the same folding patterns coming up, said Olga Duchenko, first author of the new study and a member of the Center for Genome Architect and the Baylor and CTBP. Okay. Eventually, the team realized it was just seeing variants on two overall nuclear designs. In some species, chromosomes are organized like the pages of a printed newspaper. I know they're just using it as an analogy, but the creationists are gonna fucking hone in on that. With the outer margins on this one side and the folded middle on the other, explained Duchenko, who is also co-director of DNA Zoo. And then in other species, each chromosome is crumpled into a little ball. So we had a puzzle, said Iris Lieberman Aiden, an associate professor and Emeritus McNair Scholar at Baylor, co-director of the DNA Zoo and senior author of the new study. The data implied that over the course of evolution, species can switch back and forth from one type to the other. We wondered, what is the controlling mechanism? Might it be possible to change one type of nucleus into another in the lab? Aiden is also director of the Center for Genome Architecture and a senior investigator at CTBP. Okay, moving on. Meanwhile, an independent team in the Netherlands had discovered something unexpected. I was doing experiments on a protein called condensin 2, which we knew plays a role in how cells divide, said Claire Camp, co-first author of the study and a member of the laboratory of Benjamin Roland at the Netherlands Center Institute. But we observed the strangest thing. When we mutated the protein in human cells, the chromosomes would totally rearrange. It was baffling. The two teams met at a conference in the Austrian mountains where Roland presented his lab's latest work. They soon realized that Hilbenkamp had hit on a way to convert human cells from one nuclear type to another. When we looked at the genomes being studied at the DNA Zoo, we discovered that evolution had already done our experiment many, many times. When mutations in a species break condensin 2, they usually flip the whole architecture of the nucleus, said Roland, senior author of the study. It's always a little disappointing to get scooped on an experiment, but evolution had a very long head start. I mean, that's how it is. The team decided to work together to confirm condensin 2's role. But then the COVID-19 pandemic struck and much of the world shut down. Of course, fuck you, COVID. Without access to our laboratories, we were left with only one way to establish what condensing 2 was doing. And Herman Kemp said, we needed to create a computer program that could simulate the effects of condensing 2 on the chain of hundreds of millions of genetic letters that comprise each human chromosome. Whew. Okay, the team turned to Joss Northwood, the Harry C. and Olga K. Wade's chair of physics at Rice. Our simulation showed that by destroying condensing 2, you could make a human nucleus reorganize to resemble a fly nucleus, said Eno Chen, co-director of CTBP, which includes collaborators at Rice, Baylor, Northeastern University, and other institutions in Houston and Boston. The simulations were performed by a team within Enoch's lab at CTBP, led by postdoctoral fellow and co-first author Simetova, I can't pronounce these fucking names, Brahmachari, working with Vinicius Contessato, a former postdoc at CTBP, and Michelle Di Piero at CTBP, senior investigator and currently an assistant professor at Northeastern University. We began with an incredibly broad survey of 2 million years of nuclear evolution, Brahmachari said, and we found that so much boils down to one simple mechanism that we can simulate as well as recapitulate. To simulate as well as Can someone help me with that word? I hate that I can't recapitulate. There you go. Recapitulate on our own in a test tube. It's an exciting step on the road to a new kind of genome engineering in 3D. Love that. Reference 3D genomic across the tree of life reveals condensing 2 as a detriment of architecture type. Okay, so that's basically the whole article.
So I don't know what they're talking about because it's about condensing, which affects how the chromosome gets stuck around the nucleus. So it's kind of like the chromosome architecture.
Well, they were saying they were saying that that evolution found a way to, basically condense chromosomes in the nucleus in 2 ways, right? Either as a crumbled ball, or as like it's like paper or something. I need to go back and read that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what they found is that by, I guess, either damaging or altering the I think it was a protein condensing 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could convert one from the other. Now, obviously, just because you can convert one cell type to the other, it doesn't mean the nucleus suddenly becomes a cell. Suddenly becomes a fly. You know what I mean?
So Alex thinks it's really, really odd that we exist. Yes. The chances of any one of us coming to exist back whenever we came to exist is like unbelievably improbable.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, all you need to know is that it's disgustingly low to the point it should make you want to puke. How nauseating it is that you exist right now. Total absurdity.
You see, that's the thing about Christians. They always want to puke and they're always nauseated.
I know. I'm thinking maybe Alex might benefit from a visit to his gastroenterologist.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Me?
No,
look
not
how
you.
Disgusting things are, and he wants to.
Not you. This guy. That's Alex. Are you Alex?
Yeah. Imagine you hit the slide. I mean, you should be grateful. You should be joyous. You should not be puking. You should not be nauseated. You should be dancing around saying, "Oh my God, I got to exist." I mean, of course, we all know that. How many sperm cells did Daddy have? How many did he waste? Just to create you. Andrew?
I was just going to ask if maybe Alex would like to come in here and back up his claims. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would add something to the stream.
Yep. You guys can have it.
Would add even more to the stream, I should say.
Come on, Alex. Come on in. We're a welcoming platform for Christians and
It's
creationists and
after show
believers.
after all.
Yeah. Nothing's happening on our after show. James has not showed up. I don't know. I sent him a Zoom link because he's probably tired.
He might be on Sal's after show. He might have just decided that Sal's is for the cool kids.
Oh, Sal has an after show?
Yeah, he announced it. Like, I don't know what time it's going to be.
People should tell me this stuff because, I need to know.
Well, I can, let me take a look, see if it's going right now.
Thor, will you please just go find a bird or something?
I'm telling you, get him a teeny tiny laptop looking thing, and he'll play with it while you're. I didn't want to say podcasting while you're YouTubing.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have an after show yet. I don't know when he's going to have it. I don't know.
I mean,
Anything on
me neither.
Brain Trust?
Well, did you see where Standing for Truth kind of came at Cell?
Oh,
And
yeah,
said,
I think I did.
Yeah,
Looks
he's
like it's
not
going to
aware.
start at 8 o'clock.
Huh?
If you go to his videos and then upcoming live streams, looks like he has it scheduled for 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time.
Oh man, so much work. Upcoming live
Life
streams.
is work.
Life is work. The debate that never was. Set reminder 8 p.m. Oh, it's 5:29. Is it not? Is it not 5:29? Okay.
Huh? What are we talking
Got
about?
it. We don't even know. We don't know what the hell is going on at this point.
So I wanted to bring up the bad argument or bad design in the RJ and Sal argument or a question they had in the modern day debate.
Okay.
Like,
That sounds productive.
what does Sal think if there was a bad design in any living thing? What would he think it would be? Any that we have life already. So observe something in the modern life as bad design. What would he think?
Oh, yeah. How do they respond? Like somebody brought up the giraffe, the nerve that has to wrap all the way around. And they just kind of blow that off. But how do they blow that off? What is...
He said that God would be everything. It would make it a good design. It would have some reason for it or something.
Oh, yeah, some reason for it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Otherwise they point out how it's actually not vestigial because appendix and
Yeah, because it has some function.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is exactly why evolution works.
Oh,
Because so many things have some function. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I just wanted to point out Creation Myths in the chat. Hey, Creation Myths. Dr. Dan.
And he missed everything. And I sent him a link so he could have come in.
He's got a link now. Maybe he'll be able to. But how it went, Dan, let's see. Sal showed us 2 cartoons, a picture of some quarters. He showed a phylogenetic tree and then saying that doesn't mean anything and that it's bogus and junk and garbage. What all did he say to describe it? And
yeah,
then,
I had a question about that. Like when he showed the incongruency in that phylogenetic tree, was he talking about phylogenetics in general, or what was he talking about?
Oh, yeah. What is he? Okay, he was talking about that topoisomerase important signal, that signal for importing it into the nucleus. And then he was saying, look, phylogenetics doesn't work or something based on that.
Yeah,
and I couldn't understand what he
was trying to say.
No, I didn't either. It's like he glossed over a lot of details.
It was like the Kent Hovind thing. They're only drawing lines to like kindergartner.
Yeah, I saw someone compare that in the chat.
But the thing is, if you look at what he was showing, it shows the difference between, I think, 3 different species, and you can see that there's a lot of non-conserved parts, right? And then when you look at those non-conserved parts and you run a phylogenetic tree on a whole bunch of species, it creates a tree. So you can see by parsimony, by the least change in the genome, that it forms a related tree. But he just discounted that. And I think he said something like, oh, if one thing changes, then the organism's dead. And that's it. So natural selection can't work because things die. And it's like, yeah, but that only makes sense for conserved regions. And that consensus sequence on the signal is very, very tiny. There's about 5 amino acids that have to be there. And they don't even have to be, they could be separated by a number of different things, right? So, I mean, it doesn't make sense what he was saying. I mean, he just discounts the trees. But we can look at that and say, okay, the non-conserved regions obviously don't matter, Sal. Why did they form a tree? Why did God design it that way? And they'll come back and say, well, we just haven't discovered what it's for yet. The reason that the bacteria is different than, the eukarya or the human is because there's something in there that we haven't figured out yet, something God put in there that, according to Standing for Truth, God put it in there so that we could go to the North Pole and live without a jacket, apparently. That's his idea.
Lord, I speak for the trees, for the trees cannot speak for themselves.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to make a raccoon cry because nobody's hitting my like button. So.
Oh, no.
I already did. Well, did you guys see that Martin was on the first debate?
Oh, was he?
Veganism? Yeah.
He was.
Again, with Justice and the normal vegan people that they have on there.
No, I didn't see that.
Who?
Martin.
That Martin.
Oh,
gotcha.
Martin.
Yeah, he came in one day and we talked to him. He was a theist, but and we talked with him.
Real
and
pleasant.
he enjoyed himself. He wasn't afraid. Yeah.
Yep. He's a real pleasant guy.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't being rude and saying things about atheists in a passive aggressive way.
Yep.
He's the one that had on my Do Demons Exist live stream.
That's true.
Alex thinks we're part of the simulation just to test the real people on the earth.
The Matrix.
Yeah, so we don't really exist. I feel like I exist. I'm sorry, Alex, but
Think, therefore I am.
Yeah, I think I am.
And I don't know Kung Fu, so I can't be in a simulation.
Yes.
Oh well.
Anyway.
So I heard you talk about parsimony. Have you been reading up on your phylogenetics jargon?
A little bit.
A little bit? That's good.
Yeah.
I thought parsimony was part of just scientific theory.
There's a specific
meaning.
Criterion in phylogenetics called maximum parsimony.
Gotcha.
Because not all the characters in a analysis are going to be completely congruent with one another. So sometimes you have to parse out some of the conflict and figure out which is the correct quote unquote tree. If that makes sense.
Yep. The few number of mutations, between branches.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's parsimony.
Sal doesn't like those trees, though he admitted that those trees really make it look like evolution is happening. But
I think maybe as a child he must have fallen from a tree and hit his head.
Maybe.
And now he just doesn't like trees because it's such a painful memory.
Yeah. But as Danny would say, we can't talk about the meta.
Why not?
I don't know. Danny,
is there anything intrinsic in the universe that keeps us from talking about the meta?
Apparently, we don't exist, so we shouldn't talk about the meta. According to Alex.
Is it a some sort of rule of etiquette? We can look it up in an etiquette book that says after May 1st, you can't talk about the meta.
No meta. Yeah. Well, only when Danny's around. He hasn't been around much.
Well, maybe they're talking about the friendly atheist who is Hamid Meta.
Yeah.
and maybe we can talk about him. Did I pronounce his name right?
Which one?
The Friendly Atheist, isn't it Hamid Mehta?
Oh, I'm not sure. I have no idea.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Oh, you mean his new name, his adopted name after he went Muslim? That guy? Is he the guy?
No, the Friendly Atheist, the guy.
Yeah. Didn't he change his
been
name?
around for at least a decade, and his handle is the Friendly Atheist, and he does YouTube videos and he writes on Pathos.
Yeah, but he's different than the guy that just converted to Islam. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's close enough.
Yeah, I think he's a different guy.
Okay. Anyway, so Alex, we don't really exist like real humans. Don't worry. Just don't worry about us. That means we can't go to hell if we don't exist like real humans. So why should we give a shit about Jesus, right? Why should we bother with this conversion bullshit that everybody's trying to put upon us? They're trying to save ourselves.
Because God loves you very much, and He wants to see you in heaven, and and the only way to do that is to follow Him blindly.
Not according to Alex. We don't really exist.
Okay, stop using that goddamn fucking rhetoric bullshit. Seriously.
I don't know where he's going with this.
He's trying to make you doubt your own existence because, well, if God doesn't exist, how do you know you exist?
Well, see, this is the kind of shit I just talk about like as a joke to other people, so it doesn't hurt or bother me.
Hamid Mehta.
Yeah, he's been around for years.
Oh,
you've never here. Let me get you a link.
Thank you.
I think he got famous from selling a soul on eBay or something.
Yeah, he wrote the book. I sold my soul on eBay.
I just had a weird thought.
Fun.
You seem to have a lot of them. Please share.
Yeah, I guess so. So what if, like, maybe you're a biologist or someone related to that, and instead of going to the Christian heaven, you just go to a heaven where you open the gate, and suddenly there are a bunch of cute animals and platypuses and stuff like that, and it's just
zoology heaven.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted 2. Have you ever seen Bill and Ted 2? They have like a thing like that. Where all the species of the universe go into like this room. And that's where they meet the 1-2 creature that can turn into an intelligent creature.
I think hell. I think hell.
That's the name.
I think being on the ark for 40 days or a year. Well, how long were they on the ark? A year would be hell with all that. With all that animal. You'd be like crawling into my cat litter box and covering myself with cat litter, I think, sort of for a year. That would be hell. Maybe that is hell. Who knows?
Did you guys ever watch Bill and Ted movies?
Nope.
They made a third
one.
one.
Yeah, I used to love them.
I watched the first one, I think, and maybe the second one. Yep.
Can we talk about programming?
Can we what?
Can we talk about programming?
No.
Too bad.
So,
in what way?
It was a joke anyway. Go ahead.
Okay.
Peter wants a CSS animation. Do you know anything about that? Midnight? Do you know what he wants?
A CSS animation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's well, what does he want animated though? That's the thing.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at when he asked me, but
well, CSS3 allows you to animate, to animate graphics or elements themselves. You know what I mean? It's just
speed.
Yeah.
Vandalia. Oh, never mind. You just answered it.
Yeah. Well,
I'm so high.
Cell Spiel has not changed at all. So Cell Spiel was identical. but he has a different spiel than Standing does. And it was really kind of amazing that Standing said Cell is not up on our current model. Their current
model.
Oh, their current model is this hodgepodge. Did you see that stream that Standing for Truth did the other day with the two guys and the lady, and they were all they were talking about geology, and the two guys had identical geologist vests on,
Oh.
And one of them they feel that they have to wear those geologist vests when they're on street. I mean, yeah, like they just got out of the field and they were out there hacking on rocks. And
well, hey there, neighbor! I just got out of the field.
Just got out of the field.
God rocks.
Yeah, it's like no. If you have to wear a vest to pretend you're a geologist, I think there's something fucking wrong with you. Unless you actually need that vest and you're out in the field and you're putting rocks in. I don't know what they're doing. But that was just hilarious.
Did you guys see the one with Dr. Charles Jackson, I think his name was?
Yeah, I think that might have been one of them.
Oh.
There's another one. He calls himself Indiana something. He had a vest on. Right?
well, the one with Dr. J was just, oh my gosh.
Why don't we talk about how cool everyone in this room is? Well, except Danny.
Alex wanted to see an atheist in person. Here's one right here. Alex, atheist. Boo.
I don't think that's what he meant.
By the way, Speed. Where can I have your books? Because I saw many books back there.
Yeah, well, the old ticker is starting to fail there midnight pretty soon.
Midnight. Challenge him to a sword duel.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to use a sword. I mean, I could shoot him to a. Actually, no, I don't even know how to use a gun. So never mind.
So I ran that by my sons, and they said, and I got bad news for you.
They said, "Fuck you." What you mean, right?
They said your books define you. We would have a lot of trouble. They want to keep them, basically, because the books that I have define who I am. Basically.
Well, right. I get that. I'm not against it. Like I'm not like that. But at the same time, what are they going to do with it? Keep them?
That's what they say. We'll see.
They're already like you live in your son's house, right? So
yep.
So they're already here.
They're already in his house. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, moving my mother's books and taking them down and boxing them up and carrying them to the trailer and stuff was backbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up taking most of them to like the county library, and that was not an enviable task.
You cannot deny me my heritage.
Yes. Well, you could always sue them. You could insist that you're my long lost or my son.
File for custody. Over here.
File for custody. I don't know.
Like. Just you probably have so many books I never even seen.
I don't know how the hell you'd get them from one state to another.
Probably teleportation. I don't fucking know. Or maybe I'll find a way to get to Massachusetts or whatever, and just like read them. Go to your son's house and just be like, okay, you know what? I can't take them home, but I'll just stay here and read them.
If you find yourself reading some books in Massachusetts, they're not Speeds.
Well, whatever. Minnesota.
Yeah, they're practically the same place. Yeah. Whatever. The Boston Tea Party started in one state, but not the other. But whatever.
Yep.
I wonder what
I am CGI. These seem like children telling adult atheists that if you don't behave, Santa will not bring your Christmas. That's exactly what it is.
I mean, basically.
Isn't that sweet?
Krista always has an interesting take on things.
Yep, that is good.
She says it just the right way.
Yep, perfect. So we're doing a thing on Amy's channel at 9 o'clock on Sanford.
It's Jefferson Spatchcock.
It's Jefferson. What's up?
Hello.
We're talking about
that enthusiastic an intro.
What?
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Jefferson.
You want a more enthusiastic one?
Have you ever had one that enthusiastic?
Maybe no.
Never mind. I'll try harder next time.
Hold on, hang on. And here he is, the Darth Slayer himself, Jefferson.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
If you guys could greet me with that DJ air horn, that me, that I would appreciate. No words necessary. Just let me, come in with that. Yeah.
The Darth Dawkins / the Destroyer or whatever.
I'm the Darth. Dawkins
Hold
analyzer.
on, Alex. 106 is nothing to brag about. Okay, come back when it's 160. There you go.
I'm only his analyst. Like I'm Darth Dawkins' therapist, but Darth Dawkins isn't in the room, so I'm appropriate. It's a miscarriage of psychological therapy.
What's the prognosis?
He's crazier than House of Bats. Just crazier than a bag of cut snakes, as the Australians say.
Hey, you know what? I'm crazy too. So, I mean, not as crazy as him, but yeah.
We're all a little mad, but Dawkins is pretty obviously suffering from some kind of narcissistic personality disorder. So
there's a lot of that going around.
Yeah, I'm looking at one right now. I'm just messing around with you.
No, I thought you were talking about me. Like,
you definitely.
I'll accept that from Shannon Q, but not from you, Tanya.
Speaking of that, I asked Shannon Q some questions, but she's ignoring them. I know she's busy, but Jesus.
If your first question is diagnose me, she's loath to do that. Like,
I didn't ask her to diagnose me. Yeah, fuck off.
I did. It didn't go anywhere.
Well. Really? You did that?
You asked her to diagnose Midnight?
No. He asked him to diagnose him. He asked her to diagnose himself.
I didn't.
The other day, I tweeted her and asked her to diagnose you, Midnight. But oh well.
I mean, did you actually do that?
No. And I can't believe you thought I actually would.
Well, I don't know. I don't know your fucking Twitter activity.
It's got to be the worst aspect of being a psychologist licensed in any way when somebody walks up to you, hey, you got a degree, right? And a license. Can you tell me, textbook, what's wrong with that fucker over there? This is how they're behaving. You give me a diagnosis right now. Come on, stat. It's like, no, it's not like chicken pox. It's not, do they have a rash around their torso? Do they have a fever? That's the stuff. That's
what you want? Okay.
That's what I want. Yep. Sorry.
So, Jefferson, I don't believe we've ever met in the same stream before, so pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Yeah. Who is this? Is this Top Dog or?
No. Wow.
And Andrew Cummings.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see which one was flashing. So.
Yeah. Am I? Can you guys hear me? Okay. I feel like I'm lagging for some reason.
No, stuff's lagging on mine, but that's because I'm on an iPhone with StreamYard.
Yeah, I've been lagging for years.
Lagging.
Yeah, I did okay in my 20s, but after that, I just started. It was one big lag after that, a slow lag creep.
It's it's nice to meet you. Rational Empiricist, do you have like other usernames that you've gone by?
Just my actual name, Andrew, on YouTube.
Okay.
I don't have a channel or anything. I just like to talk about this stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
But do you specifically have a position on this whole debate, quote unquote, or is it just with Darth Dawkins or
the one that you guys are doing the Sal one that you guys are talking about right now?
The evolution creation debate, quote unquote, in general.
I don't really have a position other than that. I accept evolution as a fact that, it's a scientific theory that explains speciation.
Okay.
I think anybody trying to say that evolution is somehow kind of trying to shoehorn its way into explaining abiogenesis is misrepresenting the science, and generally I see that coming from Christians.
I mean, you can't really have.
That's what I was looking for. Thanks.
You can't really have evolution without abiogenesis happening first.
Well, but I mean, even if you didn't, I mean, the idea that you've got life, you've got this the idea that we can explain the speciation of life as it occurs, but we can't explain. We've only got hypotheses for how life originated, whether or not and abiogenesis is right. The origination of life from inorganic matter. There's only hypotheses for that, but we have solid theories about evolution. Basically life turning into other species. That to me is less controversial. The fact that a lot of Christian apologists try to make it into something where it's like you're trying to deny God and say that life just popped into existence from nothing. That's not evolution.
Or even worse, encompassing Big Bang cosmology and stellar evolution, and
rolling that into it as well. Yeah, and it's like those are not the same fields, and it's like I understand why they want to say that because there are a lot of scientists that favor either some kind of abiogenesis hypothesis and tend to prefer some kind of a natural explanation for
Well, I mean, when people say like star evolution, they're talking about star change over time, right? Like that's all the word itself means, but it gets bastardized to hell.
I think if somebody, if they try to explain some kind of cosmology that is entirely naturalistic in origin, that's a God denier, and that is someone that needs to be criticized quickly by believers.
Do you have any thoughts on phylogenetics specifically?
No, I don't actually have a good grasp on it, other than what I've heard from other people that have gone into it. I think it's fascinating, but it's not something I've been challenged on it before. I think I actually got challenged on it by Matt Yester, either Matt Yester or I can't remember who the other one was. Maybe it was Standing for Truth, but it was over a year ago. And they wanted, and I was like, look, I'm not into biological sciences. I don't have a degree in any kind of hard sciences. This is not my area. And they're like, oh, so what are we talking to you? I'm like, do you guys have any degrees in that? That's hardly the point. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, yeah, then we're not going to have a conversation about this. No, I think phylogeny is interesting, but I got to say, I don't entirely understand it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't either, but it's pretty interesting. Anyways,
it's Randolph.
Hello.
Hey, it's the albino that doesn't think they're albino. There you go.
Yeah, people keep wanting albino with all this.
I like that Randolph's environment around him is looking very Swiss country, Swiss Family Robinson, if it were happening in the Pacific Northwest.
I just need a pipe now, don't I? Yeah.
You do, yeah. Got a bunch of gadgets made out of like coconuts and
maybe I can get a nice professor's pipe that blows bubbles once in a while.
Birthday gift idea for Randolph Richardson, folks. Let's put together a fund.
Hey guys, commercial interruption. Amy Newman is having a stream at 9:30 Central Time.
Cool. I'm going to be in a debate tomorrow on Modern Day Debate on the topic of does God exist?
Ooh.
Let me
a very narrow topic.
Yeah, well, I have certain requirements for.
Well, I mean, Randolph, that that question will never be answered. So why debate?
Well, I'm going to be debating with Dog of the Flock.
Never heard of that one.
What is that?
It's a flock. I don't know.
The synagogue. I'm not sure.
CJ?
I'm not sure. I'll send you the link to their Twitter account there so you can see.
So when should we plan our trip to see your new studio?
Once it's done.
Yeah.
And after COVID-19 is settled down enough to make it safe for everybody.
If we wait too long, we'll be right in the midst of COVID-20, Randolph. So there'll be no escaping.
COVID-20, hey, that's so last year. They're talking about COVID-21 already.
Yeah.
Just where in Vietnam, they just found like another hybrid of the UK and what's the other one it crossed with? I don't know, but they found another strain of COVID-19.
Now,
Is it
my
the one
question is, how many of these creationists are probably thinking, darn it, I wish evolution wasn't real?
Oh,
That's microevolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't seem to be able to draw a fine line between where it goes from micro to macro.
hey Randolph, you should. I think you should finish your studio soon because I hear the heat death of the universe is coming up soon.
Oh, I'll be done long before that, I'm sure. I'm pretty confident.
Is it coming up around about the same time that Trump finally is inaugurated as the for his second term?
That could be a trigger, you know.
I thought Canada was the heat death of the universe.
No, things are much cooler up here. You might be something along the equator.
So, how is your vaccinations going up there?
Pretty good. Looks like I was just talking to a friend of mine who works in one of the local municipalities, one of the bigger ones in the government there, and he's working in inspections. And he said that it looks like in September our health authority is saying that if things continue on the track they're going on, they'll be able to get most of the people back working at the offices again in September.
Yeah, we're down below 300 cases a day in Minnesota for the first time since the pandemic started.
Oh, it's a drop. Hopefully not just due to attrition, but hopefully due to people actually getting vaccinated and following good practices.
It's been dropping steadily for the last 30 days. And and we had a high of 9,000 a day at one point. So we're way down. So.
Yeah, Michigan was way up there too, and we've finally kind of dropped to the point where most of the counties have dropped from extreme risk to just very high risk.
Our biggest anti-vaxxer concentrations in Canada are in places like Alberta, where there's a lot of right-wing religious people and Trump supporter types. But aside from that, it's probably not going to be a big problem here. We don't anticipate. We haven't had too much pushback here in BC, British Columbia, the westernmost province, and Alberta's right next to us. We've got the biggest problem. So, yeah. So it's looking promising here. I got vaccinated about 2 to 3 weeks ago. First shot of the Pfizer, so the second one will come up in a couple of months, I guess.
Have you guys heard about the newest research coming out showing that the protection provided by the vaccines, either combination of vaccination and infection, provides years worth of immunization? So they're thinking that if people who never had COVID and only have been inoculated might need one booster and might be protected for years, maybe permanently.
Well, hopefully that's going to be the case for everybody, that they'll get permanent protection. Like what I've heard about is that it looks like if people are getting a different brand for the second shot, that it's even more efficacious.
Yeah.
So that could be similar to what you're talking about. It certainly looks like a parallel there.
Yeah, I kind of think that, for people like me, most of the people that I know ended up getting a 2-shot, either the Pfizer or the Moderna sequence, but I can see myself
AstraZeneca.
Another 3 months from now getting a J&J style shot as a booster, and then that's it. More or less it's done.
Johnson & Johnson, it doesn't, that one doesn't need to be kept frozen, does it? And it's not as efficacious, like in the 65 range somewhere.
I think it's in the high 60s, low 70s, actually. But that was the one that was kind of controversial because of blood clotting, and maybe it was less efficacious given other strains. But at the same time, they thought that maybe during some of its clinical phases, it was actually going up against multiple strains, and that's why it dropped from high 90s to upper 60s.
Please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but my understanding is that the number of cases of blood clotting and things like that is below the margin of error, statistical margin of error.
It seems to be like there's a guy that I know, a YouTuber. His name is Doc Savage, and I've had a couple of conversations with him about it.
Oh yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, and he's referred to it as a zebra, which I've heard of before. In kind of statistical analysis, where it's like you're seeing a rate of blood clots in that particular vaccinated population that's either lower than or equal to the rate of blood clots you'd see in the healthy population. And in the other cases with some of the Janssen vaccines, the ones where it seemed like there was an anomaly, it was mostly the blood clots were occurring in high-risk populations anyway, which is usually women between the ages of, I think, 30 to 50 who were on some kind of hormonal birth control and smokers. They were already at an elevated or really elevated risk for blood clots.
Oh, yeah.
And then that vaccine kind of was like the final straw. And so I haven't heard any kind of final, I don't think there has been any kind of final word on that, but that to me makes sense. It's like, well, if you've already got those components and you're already kind of tipping, because I think your chances are like 80% that you're going to develop a blood clot of some kind if you're a smoker and you've got a hormonal birth control, but then you add in a vaccine like that, it's just tipping the scales against you.
Well, there's another factor too. Is very common. People who don't exercise regularly are more likely to get blood clots and other health problems as well.
Yeah, and with the lockdown, there was a lot more. There were people that were being a lot more sedentary. Junk food eating went up. Binge drinking went way
That's
up.
been increasing for decades, though, but especially lately, it's pronounced. Yeah.
But yeah, if you factor that into like circulatory disorders that might be a consequence of some kind of vaccine, yeah, it's a comorbidity that's kind of hard to avoid. And that's kind of sad because it's like, yeah, this vaccine works great if you're in good shape and have a great circulatory system. I'm like, yeah, I've been sitting around eating Cheese Whiz for the last 9 months and binge watching Netflix. Like, yeah, all right, well.
I have a friend who he got a colonoscopy over a year ago, and he was very fit. He jogs almost every day. Every morning he wakes up, does over 100 push-ups and I think 60 or 70 sit-ups and all kinds of stuff is in his regimen like that. He's very slim and he's alert. He's in his 60s and late 60s, and so he got this colonoscopy and he found a tumor, so they removed it. He had to have a colostomy bag, but he only needed it for about I think for about 2 months or something. And what the nurses and doctors are saying is usually people need it a lot longer than that. It took him a while, a good number of months to get back up to his regimen, and now it's a year later and he's back to over 100 push-ups and sit-ups and all this stuff. What they said was, all the doctors and nurses are saying to him is that whenever they see people come through their clinic who are fit, their recovery always goes so much better, almost every single time. There's less complications, the recovery is faster, and kinds of things like that. So it's very interesting, all this.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder. There was an experimental drug that came out years ago that was supposed to be used in comatose patients, and it was basically a fitness pill. It was supposed to tune the body to at least a kind of semi-fit range of cardiovascular fitness.
Wow!
But it had too many. I don't want to say side effects, because most of the side effects were actually beneficial, but because it had 3 or 4 beneficial side effects based on FDA regulation, it wasn't something that they could actually allow, and it never actually went. And the way they were going to administer it was to vegetative patients. It would keep them from developing bed sores, but it would also prevent muscle atrophy and sinew and tendon atrophy over time. They'd maintain the same flexibility, same muscle tone over months of being bedridden, and even some stamina and stuff. They wouldn't be, they wouldn't be like these people that you get them out of bed and the act of standing up and going to the bathroom leaves them winded, like they ran a marathon. This would kind of primed. It kept the pumps primed while they were recovering. It was really cool. It was a very cool drug. I don't know whatever happened to it. I saw a couple documentaries on it. I think there was even a Nova documentary on it back in the early aughts, mid-aughts, and I don't know that it went anywhere.
See, something like that, if it got sold on the private markets, like to general public, people would buy it up and just sit around eating chips all day and drinking pop and taking this. Then we'd find out over time if there's long-term problems with this, which I imagine there probably would be.
Yeah, especially if there's like addiction. Like, are you going to go out for a walk tonight with me? Like, no, I'm just going to take the pill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, don't you want the fresh air and sunshine? Like, well, I got vitamin D and an air purifier. So.
Hey, would that work on dogs? You used to give the dog a pill?
Jefferson, if you ever come across that, please let me know. I'm interested to know what that one's called. It sounds fascinating to look into.
Yeah, I need to look that up.
I'm interested for my science fiction writing. I want to have some perspective on this. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, what reminded me about it was actually a piece of science fiction that kind of dealt with it a little bit. It wasn't a pill, but it was part of a. It was one of I got to remember the author's name, but it was basically taking elderly people and moving their consciousnesses into a weaponized military body and turning them into soldiers for space warfare.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when they got put into these bodies were kind of charged up with drugs like that, where they basically just they just stayed fit. They didn't have to exercise. They didn't have to train. They would just maintain their own fitness. It was just built into the metabolism.
That will appeal so much to the rich and lazy, I tell you.
Yeah. Or the military class, where it's just like, we need you lean and lethal all the time, and it's like, but you know, during my downtime, all I want to do is lay around, watch cartoons, and get drunk. They're like, yeah, well, it turns out this pill actually mitigates all that too. So,
yeah, wow. Yeah. I've got some kind of themes in my story about people who are, or other species who've using science to augment this kind of thing in various ways. So that's why it interests me. So I want to know a bit more about what's actually been discovered here in this. I had no idea that this had even been developed until you mentioned it now.
Yeah, if I can find it, I'll try and send it along to you. Like I said, it's been a while since I heard about it. Have you ever read John Scalzi? I think the book that I'm thinking of is called Old Man's War.
The story name sounds familiar. I don't recognize the author name. I'm not good with names of authors and singers and bands and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to. I'll send you a link for that, because that's an interesting book. He's written quite a few. I think that's the first in the series. Okay. But that one's really interesting. The way he describes future technology is very interesting, because it's not just kind of physical and biological sciences that it gets into, but also sort of information technology in terms of how it deals with expanded human consciousness. And the way he describes that kind of stuff is very cool. Like it was always something that I was fascinated with when I was a kid. And when I read this guy's book, this was just like 10 years ago, I was reading, I was like, I really like the way this guy's mind works, because he would just get into these, he would make these connections like, okay, you get these benefits, but you also get these side effects.
Sorry, what's that called again? The book you're recommending?
Old Man's War, I think, was the first book in the series, and I believe the author's name is John Scalzi, Scalzi.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up. Thank you.
Yeah, it basically starts off like, once you hit your 70s, you can either volunteer to have yourself put down, or you can volunteer for the military service. And if you survive the military training service, which is basically they take your old self, they put you in the Space Needle, they send you up to the space station, they upload your consciousness into a new military grade body, which is a clone and an augmented military clone of your original body. If you survive the transfer process, then you become a soldier for them, and that's sort of your kind of your second life retirement kind of thing. So you kind of have a way of picking which way you want to go. And so the story starts out with an older couple that opt to do that. And so I think on their 70th birthday, they're in the Space Needle and they're going up to the station to begin that process. So,
I see it's contemporary, just published in 2005. This is quite interesting. I just put the link in the private chat in case Speed wants to put the picture of the cover on the screen. But
yeah, Scalzi's like, I mean, amongst sci-fi fans, I think he's a little bit infamous for some of his futurism ideas. And there's a really interesting part in that book where they deal with an alien race that has some properties that I think you would be really interested in.
Oh, that's interesting, because my story has about 250 alien species that I am in the process of still developing. And I've got more than half of them defined, and I've got concept art drawn for slightly under half of them, probably a third. And and then there's one planet that is not the main part of the story. It has over 2 million years of technological advancement, and they've cured stupidity. They found it was a virus. And so some comedian, the history of it that I've written goes into this comedian gets up on stage and talks about these the pills, the medicine for it, and calls them stupid pills, and the name's stuck for another 1.5 million years. Everyone calls them stupid pills.
So it, like, culturally, is it just an image of like of G-Man with like a red X over his face? Like, that's the pill.
Oh, they just put it in the water. Everybody gets it. So it's fine. So
it's like fluoride. It's not something you overdose on. You're
getting it every day. like vitamins kind of thing. But there's the title of the book there, Old Man's War. That's the one you're thinking of, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and it's had quite a few covers. I think the cover that I got from my library was different. But yeah, that's him, John Scalzi.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at that. Thank you for the recommendation. So, yeah, I have some ideas for futuristic societies on this particular planet. So, 2 million years of technological advancement, it's not easy to come up with stuff that we haven't thought of before.
Yeah, and I got into stuff back in the early aughts because he was recommended as a sci-fi writer to watch for futurism ideas.
Yeah,
And so I was always kind of interested in that, like projections on what technology and human development would be like. Yeah,
you're right. I'm definitely interested in this.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
I'm interested in a future where we replace eating cows with eating Christians.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of the cannibalism route, and there's many reasons for that.
Yeah, but
off the bat.
Are they the same species, really?
What if you do the Roman thing where you like feed the Christians to lions and then maybe eat the lions? Like, so you're kind of like.
Well, I think if you want to play it safe, you'll want to keep the lions alive for at least 3 or 4 months before you eat them.
Probably, yeah, probably.
His feed.
Yeah.
Can
In
I
general,
share a
you know,
random picture?
I'm more or less I'm a dedicated carnivore, but one of the things that I don't really like doing is eating. Generally, it seems like the trend is predators make for the worst meals. Like if they're omnivores, scavengers, or herbivores, they have better meat.
Yeah.
More fat.
So Scott left us. What did you ask, Andrew?
Oh, or can I share a random picture or share my screen? I want to hear Randolph and Jefferson, the first words that come to mind when I share this picture. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, these are fun. Not a Rorschach.
This is like ink blots. Yeah.
All right. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Alien.
I think I've seen something like this before. Is this from deep down in the ocean?
Yes. It's a
Okay.
goblin shark.
God.
Goblin shark.
Because I'm
Okay.
into sharks now. Haha.
Yeah, it looks like something I wouldn't want to meet in a dark ocean alley.
That's the alien. Is that what they got the? Wow.
Is this what's making all our crop circles? Okay.
Yeah.
It looks like if you cross the Abomination from the Incredible Hulk with Jeff, what's his face from the Reanimator movies. Like if you kind of combine the two of them, that's what you'd get.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking towards shark, but the word wasn't quite coming to me. It does look almost like it's got the platypus mixed into it somehow. The duck.
I knew what it was right away. I wrote it in private chat.
I mean,
I heard you say goblin shark earlier. Yeah.
Given the rage face and the great big dick forehead, I would call it like, I don't know, like grudge fuck fish or something like that. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh yeah, you're so good with words.
Sorry.
Don't have to apologize. I thought it was quite funny.
I have terrible news, guys, about our stream. I have to shoot it in the head.
Oh no.
Oh.
Because I have to be on another stream at 9:30.
Oh, okay.
Understandable.
And I haven't slept for like a long time.
Go get your sleep, and then
Like weeks.
Yeah, you got to get your sleep.
I don't.
Yeah.
So you're gonna catch a nap, snap awake, and then go into another stream.
Yep.
All right.
I got something for you.
I did that
What is
before
this one?
once. I highly recommend you get sleep. It's
Where we
going to
go?
help you a lot.
Cookie cutter.
What's this one?
Cookie cutter shark.
Looks like a paper bag puppet
Yep.
snake.
Oh my God.
Is it a paper bag?
That's
Is
a
that
that's a rusty, muddy paper bag dildo fish.
Looks like it's made with potatoes and French fries too.
Cookie
Hey,
cutter
look
shark.
at the third one at the
There's
top, is smiling.
There's some soy sauce and oyster sauce in there too. Yeah.
Do we eat Jewish cows?
I do.
Cookie cutter shark.
Oh my God. Oh, these things are horrible. I will sleep. I will sleep soundly after seeing this shit. I'm gonna have nightmares, guys.
Yeah, it's the one that takes down submarine. Was that?
Search for teddy bears next. Make it so he won't have these nightmares.
It depends on
Or
what
raccoon.
sites he's looking for teddy bears.
I did have
Okay,
another
guys.
thing.
So,
Before one more thing for you.
one more thing, and then we're gonna end the stream.
All right.
Man, I gotta like take all my tabs down.
I have so many tabs open right now.
I have the
I
same.
hope everyone in the audience has good nightmares tonight.
Yeah.
There, I think I got it. I gotta just share.
So RJ never got Zoom to work somehow. I was gonna Zoom him in, but I think he was tired.
Zoom into
So-
Top Dog there. What's that raccoon doing? Oh,
nice.
You mean at a mosque or a church there?
That reminds me, I gotta feed my raccoons before they do that.
I saw one in that position in our backyard.
You got a
But I
picture?
live in the Midwest, and the raccoons up here are quite radicalized. So
Practicing with imaginary weapons.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna end the broadcast.
Yep.
Gonna shoot her in the head. Let me see if I
Goodbye,
can
cruel world.
put
figure
her
out how
down.
to do that.
Put her down.
Stay curious.
Shut her down. Okay.
Bye.
Where is? Hang on a sec. I have no idea. Oh, there we go.